Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GnWC Survivor Series recap. I am Duke, and with me is my good buddy.
Hi, Billy Mays here from Mighty Mendit. What?
First of all, you're angry, Larry.
3, 2, 1, go.
No. What? Are you
We're
just
good?
throwing me off now? Yeah, we were
Yeah.
fine. I was just like,
Oh, hi.
I was rolling with it.
Oh,
Do you want to start
hello.
over or just keep going?
No.
Just keep
What are you
going?
doing?
Okay.
Yeah, you're
All
so
right.
easy to troll. It's so funny.
I'm not, except when I'm in this role, because I never know. I can't see you, so I don't know how serious you are. Anyway, all right, so we'll just keep rolling with it because Larry's trolling me. But hey, that's video games, right? Right? Anyway. All right, so we are going to talk about what we liked, disliked about Survivor Series, and we're not going to try to be. We're going to try not to be super negative, but some may seep into the conversation more than once. I'll put it that way.
Don't be the internet, Duke.
Don't be the internet. Well, I'm going to try to keep it positive and keep smiling through things that maybe I didn't necessarily enjoy, but we are going to talk about, at least a handful of topics that we weren't the most pleased with, and then we'll talk about what highlights there were. So, first of all, I'm going to turn it over to Larry with news and notes, and then he'll roll us right into lay topics. Larry, take it away.
Thanks, Duke. I got a few news and notes here. First off, Solomon Crowe has been removed from the NXT roster page on WWE.com.
Whoa.
Speculation he was released. I think maybe he even asked for his release and it was granted, but there was nothing official. There was no future endeavor kind of message sent out just yet. Ex-ECW champion Justin Credible retired. So did Amazing Kong. But the asterisk next to Amazing Kong's retirement is that Amazing Kong, who she wrestles as in Japan, retired. Awesome Kong, who she wrestles as under the TNA banner and locally, in the United States, still has dates to fulfill. So there's kind of like that Amazing Kong retired and everyone's like, oh, she's done. But no, just that character was retired.
Yeah,
now Awesome Kong Karma is still accepting bookings, I guess.
Yeah.
Backstage, WWE, Lana is being described as having nuclear heat, almost to the point where like nobody talks to her. All stemming from her releasing to TMZ of her real life engagement, ruining whatever angles were going on with her, Ziggler, Rusev, Summer Rae, blah, blah, blah. Mick Foley is thinking about unfriending the WWE. Have you heard about that?
No.
He is not happy with how they are booking the shows and more or less how much time they gave Becky and Sasha on Monday night, coupled with the fact that week after week after week of Ziggler and Cesaro losing, almost like saying, hey, these guys are not even big card guys to the fans, and never giving them the chance to kind of shine and run with the title.
Even though you put them in matches and they're ignoring
the fans' reactions to them, and then they just keep booking them in the lower mid card and to get other guys over. He's had enough, and he publicly stated about it. And it's really like weird for Mick Foley to take that sort of role on the internet. He's been critical at times, but never like negative pessimistic as that came across. And this just in, Scott Hudson. Do you know Scott Hudson being in Atlanta?
Name sounds familiar. It's not.
He was the play-by-play guy for WCW worldwide.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Syndicated, maybe you saw it at 2 a.m. in the morning if you're in the New York area. He says Michael Cole sucks. And that's your news and notes for today. But let's take a trip back in the Wayback Machine, going back a couple nights. Survivor Series, dude.
The Wayback.
The Wayback Machine.
Well, I mean, to
Survivor
WWE,
Series,
and this is going to factor into things that I say. To WWE, the way they book, 2 nights is like an eternity. But anyway, go ahead.
What did you feel about the pay-per-view, and not so much the pay-per-view overall, but let's fast forward right to the end, right to that last match, Dean Ambrose versus Roman Reigns. What was your opinion of that match and thereafter?
Okay. To be honest, the match was good, and I think the highlight of the match for me, um, again, just trying to take some positive out of where there was enough negative to talk about, but um, I'm not going to talk about the whole night yet, like you said. But in that match, the favorite part for me was when they started sort of doing the brotherly, like, picking on each other type thing on the ground. Like, they had both gotten knocked out pretty hard, and they slowly sat up, but they weren't up off of the mat yet. And Ambrose shoves Reigns. Reigns shoves Ambrose like in the head. Then Ambrose takes a shot at him, and then they just start sort of knocking, just taking little pot shots at each other on their way up. And I just thought that was cool because it really stayed true to their whole brotherhood gimmick or theme or whatever. And I don't know. I did that with my brother. I would just start. He would mess with me, and I'd mess with him. And then the difference between us and those guys is my brother would just start screaming after like the third shot or whatever. So I always got in trouble. But luckily,
and he'd probably give you a Coke and a smile after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, inside jokes no one knows about. Oh,
I dig it. But yeah, it was that was a highlight for me. And then from there, and you and I talked about this, but
yeah.
with everything that happened in the night, that there's a lot to talk about not being pleased with. I don't think you could have done the ending any more perfect, even though it was still rather expected. The way they produced it, like if their production could be as good throughout the rest of their shows as it was then I think people, number one, I think superstars would get over a lot more, and I think people would be more engaged, which obviously would mean people get, the roster gets over a lot more. So
Right.
those things go hand in hand. But the fact that, people weren't that thrilled with Reigns winning, of course, just because everyone expected it, even though everyone's expected it every time he's gotten in the ring at a pay-per-view.
Yes.
Everyone expected it, and so everyone's, just being pissed off about Reigns. And it was a good match, and it was predictable. The whole tournament was pretty predictable, but then at the end he got a little pop with taking down Triple H, but all the fanfare was just insane because you didn't even have that for Rollins, right? But it was so well orchestrated where it's just like between what they did in the match with Sheamus earlier in the night and then what they did there, where there's all the confetti and there's just insane pyro, like more pyro than the Undertaker got. Footnote, talk about that later. All this stuff that they did, and then they put the camera in tight on Reigns, and you didn't see Sheamus coming. Now, if you're paying attention, or if you go back and watch again, you'll notice the crowd starts cheering a lot louder right before Sheamus shows up, which is funny because no one wants Sheamus to have the title either. But they just let's go back to the Wyatt storyline. Anyone but you, Roman. There's a reason why they did that storyline, and it still didn't get him over. But anywho, it was I just thought it was extremely well produced, and that made it more enjoyable to me because there's a lot of poorly produced content with WWE these days if you're not watching NXT. And so it's that was refreshing. It's good to know that still exists, that spark is still there. But then there's the rest of the show, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But that was a highlight for me. Just everything that was done. I liked the match, and even though it's predictable is not always bad. It just kind of depends on how you come out of predictable. And at least in that microcosm of the rest of the pay-per-view, the way they came out of it was perfect, in my opinion. And then also they go off, they show some commercials, they come back, and you see Reigns sort of, you know, wandering out of the arena, kind of almost like how you would see someone walk out at the end of a video game or something like that. It was very video game cutscene-esque, where you just have a guy, there's nobody's talking, you just see a guy sort of walk out of the scenario that he's in,
Right.
and you're just like, well, what's going to happen here? You know, it's almost like setting up a sequel or something like that.
Right.
And I could talk more about that, but I'll let you. I'll pass it over to you, and maybe we can
Well,
get to that if we have
I
time.
I thought it was a good match. Being the last match, I was kind of like burnt from the whole rest of the pay-per-view. As soon as Reigns wins, you go, and the first thing I do on the main event, like whenever the pinfall happens or whatever, I look at the clock.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, it's 10:31. All right, something's happening here, and we know Triple H is coming out. So I'm thinking Triple H. I'm thinking Sheamus. I'm thinking maybe double swerve, Roman Reigns joins him or whatever. But Sheamus is definitely on the forefront of my mind. Maybe not so much the average fan, because the way they did that with New Day walking out on Sheamus in the traditional Survivor Series match early, and all the confetti and the pyro and everything was a distraction.
Yes.
And from the home viewer, all you saw was Sheamus's boot when it finally happened.
Right. It was the camera was that tight.
Great.
Right.
That is great. That's better than his music hitting, him running down to the ring when Roman Reigns is in the ring. I thought it was very well done. I'm not opposed to Sheamus having the title when it comes off of that, what happened there.
Right.
If he just came down during Raw and cashed it in, pinned him and won, you know what? Whatever, I'd probably be angry about that. If he won it on his own without a Money in the Bank title, I probably wouldn't want him as champion. But all things considered, with that happening, it was awesome. And I don't remember if I said this or not, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself. But
okay.
That the Ambrose Reigns match, probably was a lot better than I kind of enjoyed it. And I said because of the way the pay-per-view unfolded before then.
Right.
But you think about it, when they first locked up, it was like they were just trading punches right away. I'm like, you know what? The energy of the match was really good. The ending was really well done. But let me ask you this, because I know this has just been – actually, let me not ask you this. Let me give my little rendition on this topic, because I know you spoke it to me like through Twitter.
Okay.
And I share the same sentiment. Kind of scary at the end of that match, before Sheamus and Triple H got involved, with the ISIS terror threats and everything. All the confetti, like even on TV, there's just like a reduced visibility. And then you have, like you said, more pyro going off for even the Undertaker than the Undertaker had. Did we need it all? Based on what's on people's minds, maybe when they're in the arena, and probably contributed, like you said to me on Twitter, to like a stagnant crowd reaction through the course of the night. It was a big distraction and kind of like helped the moment of Sheamus just appearing there with his boot. But I don't know, man. It's kind of scary. I don't know how I would have reacted if I was in that crowd. Well, knowing that there was that terror threat going on and insane pyro going off all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that's in your mind, even though if anybody was actually paying attention to the story, it was widely discredited, so
yeah.
This certain group that is known for, putting information out there or whatever says something. Well, it wasn't really that group who said it. It was someone pretending to be that group, which, by the way...
Oh, was it? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, yeah. Someone updated it, and they found... And I meant to send you that link. I should have. Sorry. But, yeah, someone a Twitter account who's associated with that group said that wasn't us, and we haven't put out a video about it, and we haven't heard any kind of information like that. So
Right. Okay.
it
All right.
was debunked pretty quickly. However, people, I mean, this is the internet. This is a phenomenon on the internet like I've never seen. People will see the very first thing someone says or the very last thing someone says, and they'll read no context in either direction. And so,
Right.
to that point, a lot of people probably still had that in their mind, you know. And then there's the other people who are, you know, conspiracy theorists like me, is just like, well, it was fake, but what if someone says, hey, that's a good idea, you know?
Well, there's a copycat element to it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like,
Listen, it could happen from anyone, anytime, anywhere.
Right. And so
you don't need to have it leaked or anything. It just,
yeah,
you could be watching a movie and something can happen. It's just a sad state of things. So
yeah, it's just a
it
weird
doesn't help when
time we live in. So
yeah, it doesn't help when someone brings it to the forefront. So
right.
So that's probably like a major reason for the crowd reaction. I mean, poor matches and, you know, 2 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches that were just thrown together
And
through
just lame.
Yeah, through a, you know, like a throwaway match on SmackDown really formed the basis of one of them. And the other one was just like, okay, who else is left that we've shown on TV in the last 2 weeks consistently? All right, we'll put you in this match, and then we'll put Titus O'Neil in there because Cesaro can't wrestle. You know, that's that for that. Charlotte and Paige is getting kind of a bad rep off of what was said about Reed on Monday night. People are starting to care less about that. And, you know, Ziggler and Tyler Breeze was okay. I don't know if, see, for me, major pay-per-views like Survivor Series are like the ending of feuds.
Right.
Everything here was a beginning of a feud, you know, except for maybe Charlie Page, but this is the first time they wrestled.
Yeah.
So, and obviously they wrestled again on Raw, and based on the double count out, they're probably going to wrestle again somewhere else.
Right.
I just think that the crowd's just not resonating. And hey, what, you know, smart Mark, this is your world post John Cena.
Yeah.
For how much you hate John Cena, this is your world with John Cena when you have Cesaro and Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan hurt, and John Cena stepping out. And this is your roster, and you can tell me all you want about, well, they should have used Axel or Slater or Sandow or Ryder. Is that any better, really?
I mean, they're exciting and they excite the crowd.
Good workers,
but,
sure.
But they're not top talent, and that's not all on them. We're not blaming them. And like
not yet. They're not yet.
Right,
or,
exactly.
They're not getting a chance, sure. But I can see that complaint if this was SmackDown. But this is a top pay-per-view. You're going to tell me that this card's going to be so much better because you're taking Roman Reigns out of that tournament and you're putting in, I don't know. Cesaro. Well, Cesaro was hurt. That's
no, I'm just saying, like.
I'm talking about the other guys that are just
right. Okay.
Where's Adam Rose? Where's Jack Swagger? Or, you know, Sandow, Axel. We want Heath Slater. Yeah, you want Heath Slater in the main event? You know, no, you don't.
Right.
You want Heath Slater on Raw wrestling Cesaro, maybe.
Yeah, and you want him. You want. Well, and it's just sort of the thing that I've been kind of talking about behind the scenes is ever since I heard someone mention, you know, just really no one's over, or the people who are over for some reason they're not really getting TV time, and you know, or if they do, they're jobbing to somebody. It's just the WWE in general is in a really, really weird state.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this on the weekly show because because my thing is, you want people to be over, but with Cena, Orton, Bryan, Cesaro, all these guys on the sideline, who's exactly on the roster, and Rollins, who exactly is on the roster that's putting over other people?
Right.
Mark Henry, and then we all bitch about that. So, you know, it's a tough time, and look for our weekly show. A little bit delayed because of Thanksgiving this week, but we'll get it done over the weekend, and we'll talk about a few things, and mostly the state of the WWE roster. How's that sound?
Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, good plug.
Okay.
But yeah, that's definitely where it fits best. And we've got several
Yeah.
different topics where we can just riff for a while. So we'll get to that. So
Yeah. Undertaker match. What are your quick thoughts about that match
that's pretty
in
much my
general?
quick thought.
Yeah, that is.
Well,
Can I give you my
just
description of it? My
well,
short description
well,
of it?
just super quick. It just
Yeah.
like what was the point? That's really what it comes down to. You don't want to see Undertaker lose, but at the same time, if this is where he's going out, if he's headed out, then and he took the time to put over the most over person in the company, or the most over
Never
part timer
wins.
in the company. What's that?
Oh no, I was going to say he was going to put over. I thought you were talking about Bray Wyatt. My bad.
No.
Sorry.
I'm saying like in last pay per view he wrestled in, he puts over the most over
Yeah.
part timer
Okay,
in the
Brock.
company.
Okay.
The biggest star in the company in Brock Lesnar, and then you've got someone that's supposed to be like the new version of him, the more modern day version of him, and every time they fight, Bray Wyatt loses. Every time they fight. Well, pretty much
Every time Bray fights.
almost every time Bray fights. It's just like Bray, Dolph, Cesaro. They're like in high end.
Cena, Daniel Bryan.
What?
Cena, Daniel Bryan. I think he only beat Ryback.
Oh no.
Right?
I'm saying I'm naming people who are what seems like they're supposed to be headliner guys who just keep jobbing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And so it's just really strange. It was just an odd decision. It was a crazy short match, and Survivor Series was supposed to be celebrating 25 years of The Undertaker, and how?
The only celebration we got was a through the year retrospective in a coffin video monitor.
Right.
That I didn't realize was a coffin until like 10 minutes into Undertaker walking to the ring.
Because it wasn't really shaped like a coffin.
Those pictures are in a coffin. Oh, okay, I get it now. That's actually pretty cool. Okay,
no, that was cool. That was cool. But
but that was his only retrospective. That was the only 25 years of The Undertaker,
Well, I really feel like if you're going to spend that much money on that piece, why don't you spend the first, I don't know, minute of the entrance just on that before he ever comes out? Like just show that where it calls everyone's attention to the thing instead of doing it after he comes out when all you want to do is stare at the Undertaker and how freaky he is. I mean, that's all you want to do when he comes to the ring. So
I was staring at a stopwatch because I had an over/under bet.
Right. Yeah, I saw that. But still, But still, you have this major set piece, and it just becomes a sort of off-center backdrop. Which again, it was really cool. But why not focus on it and get that out there, But anyway, just the match. There was no real heat. The match was too short, and there was just nothing really that spectacular about it. And it should have been a great match.
My description of this match was it was nostalgic, it was fun, and it was safe. Undertaker did his thing.
I'm going to come back to that.
They went over, and we went back to the locker room.
Yep.
And that's basically it. All things said with this pay-per-view, Duke, if there was one thing you could change, you could switch, or you could have inserted into the card to make it better, maybe not A+, because it's so far beyond making it an A+ pay-per-view.
Right.
But if you could elevate it a grade or a plus mark or whatever steps you want to take in your grading process, what would that one thing be?
Can I give you two?
Give me two.
Because I feel like, and I'll be quick on them. Somebody needed to heel turn, Ambrose or Reigns. Somebody needed to heel turn, and it be a serious heel turn. The other thing, we want Sasha. Like I don't care if she's not wrestling for the, I don't care if she's not in it for the championship.
Right.
She needs to have a serious role, and a lot of people, a lot of like WWE apologists will say, I mean, we're fans, right? But we're not necessarily apologists, and a lot of people will say, well, you got to be patient. This thing can't be done overnight. Well, it hasn't been done overnight. NXT's been doing it for 2 years. So what is the excuse other than there are people in creative who still think of divas as bra and panty matches and mud wrestling and whatever. You know, it's
I would actually very much welcome that over the state of WWE's Diva division right now. And that's not like a half truth. That's like a real truth. I was so high on divas, you know this, women's wrestling my whole life. Very excited for the new brand of women's wrestling in WWE, and it's back to like, let me make a bagel on Monday night when they come out.
Well, there's just no heart in it, and they thought the way to, like, their version of heart was cheap heat, which we saw last Monday. You know?
Yeah, their version of heart initially was just cram as many women as you can in the show and give them double the segments.
Well, no. I'm saying, like, when they thought, well, we just, you know, I'm sure someone's been saying there's just no emotion in it. There's no reason for people to invest in it. And someone says, oh, I have an idea. And then we get the Reed Flair comments, right? Yeah, like that's not heart. That's cheap heat. That's what that is. Right. Like that's useless
trying
cheap
to get
heat.
It, dragging Medusa into it because of Twitter comments and stuff like that.
Right. It's just all cheap heat, and it's just like that's not heart. You know, bring Bailey up for a night and put her in the ring with Sasha. Just let them have.
Well, you know how I feel about that. I hate the
I know
the one-time call-ups. It needs a reason and it needs to stay.
I get it.
Or you get relegated to that role of, you know.
Yeah, but I don't want to keep rolling on it. I want you to have your
what
moment
was your
so we
second
can move on.
The
first one was the heel turn, and the second was Sasha.
Right.
The second was we needed Sasha. Like, it's just like, especially since Charlotte and Paige's match was just so long and slow. You could have split that into two divas matches, quote unquote divas matches, and gave Sasha something. I mean, literally, they could have done an interview where Sasha and Natalya is what was rumored, right? That's what we thought was happening. Rumored. And so you could have done that, because there's been more story in the past few weeks with Sasha and Natalya than there was with the women's Divas Championship. So, holy crap! Why would you not put that in? It's
and it was kind of like and the storyline was based on a dropped Paige angle, where Paige was the one that hit Natalya, and then they're just like, okay, well, it was just too much with Paige. We're just not going to make her be the person who attacked Natalya, you know? Right? And okay, Team Bad did it. Okay, well now the main women's throwaway story is actually a more compelling story than the one that's going on for the women's championship right now. That's a good point. My one thing probably would have been I really, really, really wished that, and this could also incorporate the divas. If there was a second Survivor Series match, it had to be Team Undertaker versus the Wyatt family. Had to be. Because the way they portrayed that match and all the events leading up to it, they were kidnapped. I stole their souls. I can do lightning now. You know, it's kind of like just stupid. Why couldn't the family just attack like a single person, like each of the shows, Raw and SmackDown, for like 2 weeks? They did Undertaker at the pay-per-view. They did Kane the next Monday. Why couldn't they just attack Ziggler the next night because they didn't like his hair, or Cesaro the night after? You know what I mean? It's just, you could have dragged more people into that match and made it Team Undertaker versus the Wyatt family. And even if it was 4-on-4, it still would have been a better fitting 25 years of the Undertaker match than a tag team match.
Yep.
And you could, and whatever time, you know, scrapping that other, you know, the second of the two or the first of the two 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches, turn that into your Sasha Banks match. Turn it into a New Day versus Usos match.
Don't have another match. Give that 5v5 time.
No, the time was allotted, so let's just plug in something else. I'm just saying, let's give the pay-per-view more of a meaning than just, okay, well, there's going to be a finals you're going to be excited about for the tournament, and you're excited about The Undertaker. Now we're just going to cart all these other matches out for you. Well, we kind of knew it was going to be Ambrose versus Reigns, so the first two matches, as good as, you know, as they kind of were okay matches, decent matches, above average matches.
Yep.
you could add a New Day tag title match in there too, and kind of like gave meaning to the middle of the card with the women's title and the tag title, and then a Survivor Series match with The Undertaker, and then the pay-per-view and the cash-in and everything. I think that would have elevated it a grade or two myself. But
Yeah,
what
I
is
agree.
your
I agree.
wrapping this up? What do
Sure.
you give Survivor Series overall as a grade?
At the absolute best, and this is taking into consideration, what we talked about with, the sort of trepidation of the crowd. So
Yeah,
taking that into account, giving the crowd the benefit of the doubt, because I mean, the last time Raw was in Atlanta, just a couple of months ago or a month ago or something like that, it was pretty hot. Like, it was one of the better. Like, I remember putting on Twitter that night. If Atlanta, people say Atlanta's not a sports town, but it sure is a wrestling town, because they were popping like hard that night, and I was pretty proud of my of my location. But anyway, putting the crowds, possible what's on people's minds possibly into the equation, I would give it at the absolute best a C plus, but I'm leaning more toward a C minus. So.
Ah, God. Yeah, C minus is what I have written down.
Yeah.
And I only have that written down though because I don't know why I can't type all of a sudden. Sorry. I only have C minus written down because the ending. I mean, the ending was a solid A for me. I loved it.
I agree.
Don't care how many people are pissed off that the Red Rooster has the title and it should have been Ambrose. It should have been Heath Slater or whoever, whatever stupid things they want to say. Just the way it was done, it was brilliant. I loved it. The camera angle, just seeing the foot, teasing the kick out, then teasing the spear, only to get kicked again, and then ending it that way. The confetti, the pyro, just everything just to confuse you as a fan. It was very well done. Predictable? Okay, sure. When Triple H comes out, probably there's no going back from Sheamus appearing, whether it's Triple H attacking Roman Reigns or whatever. But whatever you thought was going to happen to lead up to Sheamus cashing it in, it didn't happen. Sheamus took advantage of not like help. What's the opposite of helpless? Like an able Roman Reigns. Like, he wasn't on the ground laid out, and then Sheamus came running down, cashed it in.
No, he's
Reigns was the aggressor. Yeah, Reigns was the aggressor on Triple H. No sledgehammer. And then that happened. So
yeah, and I will.
A for the ending, C minus overall, but that elevated it from like a D.
Yeah,
like
and pretty significant in all of that. You just made me think of something real quick. Was the fact that in both matches before the ending, Reigns versus Del Rio and even in Reigns versus Ambrose, in both of those matches, he had the duck something high to rebound for a spear, and then he did the same thing, and they took it away. So it was just that was kind of neat. That was kind of neat.
I don't know who this falls on. I don't know if this falls on the booker, the writers, or the wrestlers. Someone has to give an okay to it, I guess, but maybe the wrestlers can tell their own story to an extent. But that's one thing WWE is good on, is they can do those false finishes like nobody else. And they do them so well, though, that there's so many of them, and then you kind of like, oh, of course, false finish, he's
too much of a good thing.
Rock bottom, he's going to get kicked out of the AA, but
it's literally too much of a good thing.
Yeah, because my heart kind of not my heart, my stomach kind of dropped a little bit when I realized that, oh God, Roman's going to spear him and all the adversity and everything, and
then boot to the face.
Yeah, then boot to the face, and I'm just like, oh God. I mean, that's great.
They got me. They got me.
And they got me.
Yeah.
They got him.
Yeah.
And it was a natural pop not off the couch, but I marked out a little bit. I popped a little bit. It got me excited.
Got him.
But got him. It's but it's sad because this led to the lowest Raw ratings ever non-holiday, and that's more on who's not there than who is there. I think.
I agree.
But I don't think anybody's taking that into effect because, listen, low ratings are low ratings. And you know, you're missing all these superstars. You're not elevating other superstars. And then there's a whole host of other superstars who are just not even getting on TV because they're just not even ready, or just being in other roles, maybe backstage now with training and stuff like that. Who knows? But it's definitely something we're going to talk about offline, and then we're going to put our efforts into the weekly show about the state of the WWE roster address.
Okay, so on another note for a weekly show topic, I know we've talked about this behind the scenes, but just to kind of throw it out there, we're going to talk about, you know, positives and negatives of the WWE network, and that's going to be coming up soon, really soon, within the next couple of weeks. So just to throw it out there, I want to talk about the shows, and as one of the topics of that discussion, I want to make sure we talk about how the shows factor into the network, the weekly shows, the weekly wrestling shows factor into the network, so Raw and SmackDown, and even some of the other stuff. I really want to focus, or I want that to be at least a quick little stop off in that discussion of the network being utilized for those shows, or, you know, the fact that it's really not. So anyway, but we'll come back to that for the weekly, because
that'll be a holiday weekend special too.
Yeah.
So there'll be two shows. There'll be a weekly show, and then there'll be the WWE Network show as well.
Yep. So with that, I think we've gotten through everything we wanted to knock out. Yeah, we got the grades in. So hope everyone's having a great day wherever you are. Great morning, afternoon, or evening, like I always say. And Larry, you know what? I'm not gonna I'm not gonna ask you where people can find you, because I always put it on the screen anyway. So look down.
I never leave my bedroom anyway, so it's all right.
Look down below our voices, because I know that makes sense. But look down at the bottom of the screen, and you can see where to find us on Twitter and Twitch. And you know, if you can find us on Twitter, then you can find us pretty much anywhere else we're doing anything: Hitbox, YouTube, so on and so forth. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. And once again, hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever it is for you. I'm the Duke, and I will see you later.
I'm Billy Mays, and buy some Oxyglow. See you later.